Well, hello everyone. If you were wondering why it's really dark in here, it's just really late. I kind of really need to record this and edit this so I can get this out on Saturday at 5 p.m. But at any rate, let's talk about Mind Night. If you don't know what Mind Night is, I really don't have time to explain it to you. Mind Night is oftentimes associated with its toxic community and its bad moderation. Basically, it's just... the community is really toxic, guys. It's so bad. But why is the community this way? Why is toxic gameplay so well known in Mind Night, but not in other games like Town of Salem, which is a very similar game? Just a bit of a note, Town of Salem does have toxic players, but the overall community is less toxic. So that's what we're going to be talking about. There's really not much I can say about this other than yeah, people just want to win. It's a very serious thing because it's logged and it's put on a leaderboard, and the leaderboard is very open and a lot of people look at it and you can rank yourself and stuff. So a lot of people are very motivated to get their placements as high as they can, so the less that they win, the more aggressive and frustrated that people start to get. None of that matters more than this next point, which is... Now, Mind Night is a ridiculously random game. There's hardly any information to use, players are shuffled each game, and scum reading is basically counterintuitive. The game is basically designed to just give you no information whatsoever, so you're just kind of making guesses as to who you think the evil people are. And while gameplay like this is a fun mind game, hence why it's called Mind Night, this is kind of a bad thing to incorporate into an online game, especially a game with so many different people, with different backgrounds, different ways of thinking, and even different skill levels, which we'll get into a little bit later. And it's because of how different all of these people are that when there's so little information, you tend to just kind of clash with other people's perspectives, because everyone's perspective is technically right, but there's no real way to tell. Mind Night just leaves out too much information for you to really be able to actually 100% know who the data breaches are, unless the data breachers really messed up. Mind Night is not an active game. Trying to get a full lobby in a Mind Night game it's basically just not going to happen. It'll take forever. Furthermore, the game can't sort out the weaker players into their own game and the stronger players or the more advanced players into their games because there's so few people. So basically, if you're a newcomer or a newbie in Mind Night, you'll just be placed in a game with a bunch of advanced people, which is exactly what happened to me, and it was a nightmare. There was so much disrespect, and the advanced players were constantly mocking you, and whenever you say that you're new, people will automatically mark you as suspicious because it's a good way to kind of get everyone off your back if you're a hacker. However, this does make it really hard for the people who are actually new to Mind Night because they can hardly ever play the game without someone coming up to them and being like, "Oh, you're a hacker." No other thoughts. You're just a hacker. Once again, with how little information the game gives to you, there's really not much to go off of. So calling the new players suspicious is a good way to get at least some information out, but you're basically just making guesses. But if you just stay quiet and don't say that you're new and just try to play your own way, you'll also be labeled as suspicious because you're going against the meta. This has led countless newbies dropping the game because of how ridiculously hard it is to start. Considering things, the more you play, the easier it gets and the less that people do this, but I can totally understand why anyone who is new to the game would just stop playing and completely get rid of it. I mean, honestly, I probably would have, but I don't know, I just kept playing. This is probably the most annoying issue and the most recognizable one in all of the Mind Night community. If you do one tiny thing, anything wrong, you're gonna be immediately labeled as suspicious because that person thinks, "Oh, if you're not doing it my way, you must be a hacker. You seem a little sus, bro. Do you even secure?" And it's because of that, you'll be called suspicious for like the most ridiculous reasons ever. Proposing people who are consecutive or proposing people who are on opposite sides. I'm not even joking, these are real things that happen. Once again, with how little information that they give you, this just kind of happens all the time. You know, there's no way to really avoid this other than to just give a little bit more information or design the game in a way where even if you have more information, maybe it's not going to do you too much good. But maybe there's something else that needs to be changed here. I'm not entirely sure. But once again, why doesn't Town of Salem have the same problem? Sure, there's toxic players, but the overall community is pretty amazing. I like to think of it for, you know, the main reasons that I just listed. One, there's more information. You have roles lists, investigative roles, unique roles, self-confirming roles, etc., etc. Playing Town of Salem, you'll actually feel like a Sherlock for coming up with all of these possibilities, but it's not because you're guessing. It's because you actually have strong evidence supporting your side and your theory that, oh, maybe this guy is actually a mafioso. Maybe he's gonna kill me. Hey guys, we should get this guy hanged or something. That seems like a good idea. And furthermore, there's far fewer expectations, you know, as an entire server. Yes, you will come across occasional people who will say, you're supposed to do it this way, or you have to play this way. But for the most part, people will just let you play however you want. It doesn't really matter. Of course, you have to follow the rules of Town of Salem, which is no game throwing, no cheating, no inactivity, no claiming to be a staff member, blah, 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 blah. But that's not really restricting your gameplay, that's just restricting you from being an idiot. Now, Town of Salem also has a bit of a situation with not separating newbies from advanced players, but I would argue that all of the hardcore players or the advanced players would really just go to a ranked game to actually take the game seriously. But for the most part, everyone is pretty much just having a good time doing whatever. It's not that serious. Whenever you do lose from a game, you actually start to learn something about skill and things that you could learn. MINDNIGHT is literally just a guessing game. What are you supposed to learn from that? If there is anything you can learn from that, it's gonna take you 30 freaking years. But Town of Salem, there's a lot more skill and a lot more strategy and a lot more deductive abilities, not just guessing. I've been playing a lot of Coven recently, which is basically just normal Town of Salem, but you have to pay more money for it, which gets rid of a lot of the annoying players, so you're kind of just left with the really fun people. And I think that might also be a problem with MINDNIGHT, is that considering the fact that it's free to play, I don't know, it seems like whenever there's free to play games, there's more toxic people that are involved, but that could just be me. But for the most part, like, a lot of the players in Town of Salem will literally just do whatever. But MINDNIGHT, people take everything too seriously. Way too seriously. It's just like, it's a game. You know, people don't have to do exactly what you want them to. Now, all in all, MINDNIGHT is somehow like the perfect combination of deduction and like just no information and guessing to just be the most ridiculously toxic player base of all time. I'm not even joking, there's like so many like people who say that the community is toxic. It's like the most well-known thing in the community itself. You can just say the community is toxic and no one will disagree with you. All of this is even looking past like the troll accounts, the cheating, or even the game throwing people. The people who are just there to make fun of you. It's still really annoying and really hard to play. But yeah, there's not really much else I can say about this because, you know, MINDNIGHT is kind of a game I've been slipping away from for a little bit, and I think it's just because I've just been having way more fun with Town of Salem, because Town of Salem it's a fun ride of a game, but MINDNIGHT feels like a game where if you could use, you know, the most advanced logic ever, but it's not as fun, in my opinion. But yeah, Vincent does things. Goodbye.